Welcome to the Heal Your Hunger Show, where we get to the heart of why you overeat and how to stop. If you struggle with food and weight like I did, welcome home.
Welcome to the Heal Your Hunger Show. It's a great day to be alive, and I'm really excited to be here with you today. Thanks for tuning in. If you're somebody who struggles with food and weight, this is the place to be. The Heal Your Hunger Show is all about dealing with issues that really affect us, and affect our relationship with food. So I'm not one to talk a whole lot about food and weight specifically and directly. Those things, those struggles that we have with food and weight are symptoms. And I know, having been 50 pounds overweight, that just attacking it at the weight level, at the food level, is useless, absolutely useless. Of course, it's good to have good nutritional information and to learn, what works for our bodies and what doesn't. But that, doesn't really matter if we can't stop eating the ooey gooey chewy foods, right? So that's what I like to talk about here, is why can't we stop? What's that all about? That's the gap. We've read the books. We know all about what to eat and what not to eat. But how do we follow through on what we know? So that's really what I want to talk about here, and most of my topics have to do with that, including today. So today I'm talking about the 4 hidden barriers to success, and this is super, super important. And if you haven't joined the Secret Sauce to End Emotional Eating Now, please do that on Facebook. That's where we continue the conversation, and I'm glad to have you there with us. Now, the 4 hidden barriers to success, this is barriers that apply to any endeavor in our lives, okay? This is actually something I learned this past weekend. I went to my annual health conference called the Mindshare Summit, and it's something that's hosted by JJ Virgin, my mentor, and somebody who is just, really tearing it up out there in terms of bringing great health information to the market, and also hosting this amazing summit that's for health practitioners, holistic health practitioners who want to make a bigger impact in the world. So she had a woman speaking. Her name was Mary Morrissey, and Mary is amazing. And I actually knew of her. She used to be a minister up in Portland, Oregon, of a very large congregation, Unity. She was a Unity minister. And she's now a motivational speaker, life coach, transformational coach. And she was the keynote speaker at this event. And she put up on the screen 4 hidden barriers to success and talked about these. And when I saw them, I thought, you know what? I need to talk about that here to you and to my tribe, because this is what keeps us from being successful in losing weight and getting healthy and following through with our best intentions to have the health we want to have. So let me talk about this. The 4, I'm going to go one by one and talk about how it pertains to our relationship with food. The first hidden barrier to success is feeling fundamentally flawed. Okay, so when we feel like we're flawed, and of course, doesn't this apply to us? We think we're broken, we can't ever lose weight, it's hopeless for us, what's the point, what's the use? When we feel flawed and like there's something wrong with us, we just can't get it, which I know I felt. My goodness, I was in Overeaters Anonymous, I was in eating disorders therapy, I tried all the diets, all the pills and potions, self-help books galore. I had a whole shelf of self-help books around, getting better, and nothing worked for me. And I thought, I must be flawed. Like I knew I was screwed. I'm screwed. Like if I'm, and I was young, so I'm like, if I'm at this age and I've exhausted all these different avenues and none have worked for me, I'm screwed. So screwed, flawed, they're cousins there. So I did feel like I just couldn't get it. And I felt like I was the only one who couldn't get it. And do you ever feel that way? Do you feel like, wow, Susie's losing weight, fitting into her skinny jeans, Mary's got a handle on things now, Janet's so healthy, she jogs every day. What's wrong with me? Why can't I get it? Why do I keep falling down? Why do I keep busting out of my healthy eating plan? Why can't I get up off the couch? Why do I stay up till midnight snacking when I should be going to bed by 10, just having, only eaten dinner and no snacks? It's like we just fall down and we just wonder what the hell's wrong with us, right? We just beat on ourselves. What's wrong with me? That was my mantra. What is wrong with me? Why can't I get it? So being feeling fundamentally flawed is a barrier to success. Why? Because it's a mindset. It's like we actually believe we can't get it. And guess what? We actually prove that time and time again. What we believe we become. What you think about grows. What you dwell on grows. So dwelling on the fact that we're just losers and can't get it obviously is not going to help our situation. So that's the first hidden barrier to success. The second one is fear of outshining. And I thought this was interesting because I think this applies to us. Anybody who struggles with food and weight has had success in weight loss at one time or another, whether it was, losing 5 pounds or 10 or 20 or even 100 pounds. We've had some success. We've been on a diet, it's gone well for a time. Obviously it never works or lasts, but we've had some success, and that success that fear of outshining other people on account of that success can be a real problem for us. And what does that look like? Well, that looks like, being afraid that our friends aren't going to like us. Perhaps they're not going to like us, or perhaps we'll be judged if all of a sudden we're doing well. And we don't want that feeling, that fear of outshining, of rising above. And of course there's no rising above, but when you felt below for so long, when you felt like a loser for so long for not being able to get a handle on your health, then sometimes the ego takes over, and then we do kind of shine, and that sometimes goes to our head. So we have a fear of that. I think subconsciously we have a fear that we'll separate ourselves from other people if we do well. But even if that ego stuff isn't there, and I know it was for me, anytime I would lose weight, I'd be so excited about looking good that it would go to my head, and then I'd feel guilty, and then I'd overeat again. I'd sabotage myself. It was a big source of self-sabotage. But the fear of outshining, I think, is real for people. When we've been down for so long, and we have people helping us, sometimes we can be afraid that we'll some way separate from them, and somehow, which brings me to the third hidden barrier to success, which is similar to fear of outshining, and that's the fear of abandonment and disloyalty. And this is, I think, an extension of the fear of outshining. So let's say some people are jealous of us. Let's say we do all of a sudden, things click into place, and we start losing weight, we start looking better, feeling better, having more energy, and we're out there in the world, like shining. We're shining. There's a fear that people will actually abandon us or reject us. Oh my gosh, this is a deep one. This is really deep, and it is real. And if you've ever heard about saboteurs, people who sabotage us, not us sabotaging ourselves, but other people sabotaging us, that's real. Whether it's a spouse who, when we're doing really well on our diet, all of a sudden walks in the door with a dozen donuts or a pan of, cookies from the store or whatever, a special treat, special pastry. When that happens, there's some unconscious stuff going on. Of course, sometimes, they just want us to be happy, and that's what used to make us happy. So they're like, well, this will work. And they haven't really calibrated to our new way of living, thinking, well, what makes her happy now is doing something for her health, or something that's not going to sabotage her health. But sometimes there's a little darker side to that. Sometimes if we're married to somebody who's still an overeater, and we stop overeating and looking better and feeling better, they will want to sabotage that. They want to go back to the status quo. They want to reset, recalibrate to where they know. And what they know is us struggling. Perhaps they're our rescuer. Maybe they're not an overeater, but they're our rescuer. They're the ones that's always got it together, and they're there to help us get it together. And all of a sudden we're getting it together, and they don't have a role anymore. They're like, where do I fit into this equation? Like, I'm no longer, needed. My role of helping, my role of rescuing is no longer in force here, and so then they sabotage. And we fear them leaving us. If their role is no longer needed, maybe they'll move on. And we don't want that to happen. So the fear of abandonment, if we rise, is really real. Really, really real. It's subconscious, so it's not something we're thinking about consciously, but just know that could be at play for you if you're having trouble following through, if you are sabotaging yourself. It may be because you're trying to calibrate back to the person you were before, so you don't, upset the apple cart of your relationships. You don't want to be abandoned. You don't want people to feel like they're no longer needed. So you go back to that comfortable role of struggling, of striving, of needing help, needing rescuing. So just see, is that happening somewhere? Is there some relationship where you feel like there's some intense things going on under the surface? Somebody is jealous of your success, or if you're moving forward with your life and they want to bring you back. It's so typical in relationships. When we get in a groove of relationships with our, determined roles, to break out of that is to cause uncomfortable feelings in everyone. Sure, it takes a lot of courage for us to break out of our own roles, but that, this is a family system. Overeating is a family system. It affects our spouses, it affects our kids, it affects everybody around us, people at work. I mean, trust me, being an overeater, struggling with food and weight, or having an eating disorder, that affects everybody. It's not just you. Don't fool yourself that it's just you who's having, struggles. Everybody is affected. There's a ripple effect from your struggles. So when you start getting better, there's a ripple effect as well, from your getting better. And sometimes that could upset the apple cart for them, make them feel uncomfortable, and make them want to, in some way, bring you back to what's more comfortable and familiar for them. So the fourth hidden barrier to success is the fear of the burden of success. And this, again, applies to everything. It could be success financially, it could be success, professionally. But in terms of success with weight loss and success with increasing and improving your health, this is real, okay? Because with success comes responsibility. There's no question about it. If I'm to live in this thin body that I have, which I didn't used to have, you don't get something for nothing. Like, I had to change my life in order to live in this body that I have. I had to make a lot of changes in my lifestyle and my attitudes and my perspective and the actions each day. Like what I did when I first got out of bed, that is informed by my desire to live in a thin body and to continue to live in a thin body. So yes, success does come with responsibility comes with success, or success brings responsibilities. And a lot of times I think people are thinking, wow, if I lose weight, I'm going to have to do things differently. And they're right. They're absolutely right. They are going to have to do things differently. But that fear of what that is, that fear of how heavy that burden will be, that's what gets people in trouble. That's why they back off. That's why they say, I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to strive for success. Because they don't know how hard it will be to change their lifestyle habits, how hard it will be to not just blow off their health when they feel like it. So there is a change that one has to make in order to be successful with weight loss and healthy eating. But it's not what you think it is. It's not as heavy as you think it is. It's not as hard as you think it is. It's just like building a muscle. Going to the gym the first day, second day, hard, very hard, big burden, okay? But continuing to going to the gym, continuing to build that muscle, building one layer on top of another, that makes it easier over time. And then it's not a big burden. It's just what you do. Think about it, flossing your teeth, brushing your teeth. Those are things you just do. You don't think, oh, what a burden to brush my teeth. Like, I want clean teeth. I want pretty teeth, but oh my God, I don't want to have to brush them every night. That's such a bore, or every night and every morning, and so you don't do it. I mean, it's become a habit from an early age, and you just do it. You just do it. And that's true for me. I mean, the habits that I practice now, meditation, prayer, writing, reading spiritual literature, that's part of my day. I love it. And it supports me in being free from emotional eating. It supports me in being happy and free. The other things that I do throughout my day, thinking of others, trying to be helpful, contribute to life, not wallowing in self-pity. These things could be a burden, but they're not. They actually enhance my life. And so I embrace them. I embrace the changes I have to make in order to not have to overeat one day at a time. So think about what fears you have do you have fears of what, changing your life, what going through 10 weeks to freedom from emotional eating? Do you have fears about what, taking a stand for your health means? Do you have fears about what that will entail? And if you do, take a look at that. Fears are, stands for a false evidence appearing real. Stands for other things too, but in this case, that's the best acronym, false evidence appearing real. The false idea that we have to somehow, have such responsibility that we don't want to even try, that it will involve too much change, that there's no sense in bothering. That's false, because it's not as bad as we perceive it will be. It gets easier with time to where it's a lifestyle. It's that we embrace and love. It's not hard and heavy. Maybe the first days of healing from emotional eating are hard. There's definitely, hard days where you have to take contrary action. But after that, you start to roll with it, and it gets so much easier to where it's just part of your life and you wouldn't live any other way. And I promise you that's how I feel. Somebody said the other day, they were using some example. They said, like, if you had to choose between a salad and ice cream. And I literally thought to myself, I would choose a salad. And it just popped in my head. And I couldn't believe it. I thought, wow, that was like an automatic thought. Like, I'd prefer a salad. Like, it sounds so yummy, a yummy, delicious salad. I couldn't believe it. I said, thank you, God. Thank you, God, for change in my life to where that's my automatic reaction. So that can happen for you too. I promise you that can happen for you. So the 4 hidden barriers to success: feeling fundamentally flawed, fear of outshining, fear of abandonment and disloyalty from others, and the fear of the burden of success. Those are the hidden barriers to success in any endeavor, but certainly apply in your taking action on overcoming emotional eating and finally having the health and the freedom around food and with your body that you want. So join me on that road to success. I'll help you and support you in busting through these barriers. Nobody can do this alone. I'd love to do it with you. So please reach out. There's actually a link in the show notes where you can apply to have, schedule a call with me. So I invite you to do that. I'd love to have a chat with you and see what we can do to help you stop the self-sabotage and start, really walking on a path of freedom where it's a lot easier and a lot more fun than you could ever imagine. So thanks so much. Be sure to join us in the Facebook group, The Secret Sauce to End Emotional Eating, and I will see you on the next show. Take care.
If you enjoyed this podcast and want to get free support, insider health info, exclusive invites to events, and more, visit healyourhunger.com.